Hi guys, it's Mel from Marvellous Light, and welcome to my March wrap-up. Yes, this is my March wrap-up. Okay, so if you guys remember my March TBR, I was like, I'm only reading 5 books this month because I was sick in February. So March was like my catch-up on schoolwork, catch-up on life, catch-up on work month. So I wasn't going to read a lot. Tell me how I still read 8 books this month and have 3 books I'm still currently reading that I'm carrying into April. I don't know. How do you do this, Monique? And I caught up on my schoolwork, and I caught up on my work. I feel like a superhuman. But anyway, last month, the 5 books that I was supposed to read was Only a Monster by Vanessa Lynn, The Duke and I, and The Viscount and Me, because Bridgerton was coming out. And then Marvellous Light was number 4, and Still Like an Artist was number 5. So out of the 5 books, I only read... So Only a Monster was the first book, and I read it, and it was a 4-star book. This was a book I read at the beginning of March. It was a very easy read. It was fast. It was pretty captivating, but this is actually contemporary fantasy, which I wasn't sure if I was going to like or not. This did come in my Fairy Loot box. I forgot which month, but it came in a Fairy Loot box, and I read it, and it was actually really good. It was a 4-star book for me. I enjoyed it. It was a good balance of contemporary and enough magic in it to keep me not like DNFing it, honestly. And I really enjoyed the story. So Only a Monster is about this girl, Joan, and she's pretty much in London for the summer with her family on her mom's side. She visits them every summer, and this summer she's doing really well. She has this cool volunteering job that she loves, and she has this crush on this guy, and he recently asked her out, and she's like, oh, life is going good for me, until one day her Good Samaritan act kind of like throws her life into a whirlpool, and she finds out that she's magical, and not only is she magical, but she is indeed a monster. And then she finds out that the guy that she likes is in actuality a monster slayer. So she must now team up with this rival monster family's son to save her family, figure out more about her life, and embrace her monstrousness. And this book was very good. The plot twist at the end, I think, is what pushed it from a 3 to a 4 for me. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the sequel. I will be continuing this series, and this a special edition by Marvellous Light is very pretty. Enjoyed it. It was a 4-star book for me. The next book that was on my TBR was The Duke and I, which I inevitably DNF'd. So I realized that I really like the Bridgerton Netflix version. I want to say more than the book version, but I didn't finish the book. I didn't get that far in. I think I only made it like 100 and something pages in, and I was like, I don't really want to read this. I don't feel like it. I am such a mood reader. Like, I mood read everything. If I don't want to read it, I really just don't force myself to read something I don't want to read, because reading is truly like a joyous, fun passion, and I have to really want to read it. And even some things that I'm like, I feel like reading it, but it's not like the highest thing on my priority list, I'll probably read, but like, I'm not gonna force myself to read something when I'm like clearly not feeling it. So I DNF'd it. I just wasn't feeling it. I was really excited for the Netflix series to come out. That's why I wanted to read the books, so I can read book 1 and book 2. That way the Netflix series doesn't spoil it for me. But I realized I feel like the cinematography and the vibes of the Bridgerton show was just everything I needed, and it was so much fun that I didn't really need the books. And maybe one day I'll change my mind on this. So I DNF'd Duke and I did not even start The Viscount and Me. And then the next book on this list was A Marvellous Light, which I also DNF'd. I got to page 122, and I was like, I feel like nothing major has happened in the book for me to stay intrigued about it. And it was very contemporary, like in its writing style. It is a magical world. It features 2 gentlemen that are part of this. No, one of the gentlemen is part of the magical world. The other one is discovering the magical world. And they inevitably start to fall in love. But I feel like it was just so slow. And I wanted more of their love story than the actual story. And I had high hopes for this because it's kind of like a whodunit, but I feel like I wasn't that enthralled in the whodunit part. And I might not be a whodunit girl, because Stalking Jack the Ripper is also a whodunit by Carrie Moscalco. And I gave that like a 3-4 consistently, but her prose was very much my style of prose. and I think that's what kept me coming back to it. Plus, I feel like she had more romance in her books than this one did. So I DNF'd it. I'm really sad that I had to DNF this one though, because I was really looking forward to it. The cover is exquisite. I love what Illumicrate did with this cover. This is their special edition book from December, I want to say. And it's like a clear cover, but and the stencil edges, I don't know, I'm just gonna get into it. I think I'm gonna give this another chance and try to pick it up again later, but I'm not feeling it. And I'm already like 130 pages in. The next book on my list was Steal Like an Artist, and I was just reading a bunch of other stuff and I just did not feel like reading it. So I let my library time pass, so I did not accept it as a Libby book, and I just let it go on to the next person. So whenever it comes back my way, I'll read it, but I just wasn't feeling it this month. And that was what I was supposed to read according to my March TBR. But let's get to the books that I actually read, because I'm such a mood reader. I don't even know why I make TBRs anymore. So this month I read A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and I love this book. It was one of my Illumicrate editions for, I want to say February, honestly, and I read it and it was really good. I want to do a book talk on both this one and the next book I'm going to talk about. And this was a 4-star book for me. It's very good. It definitely transitions between the YA and the adult fantasy world, which I really liked because I'm trying to transition myself into that as well, but I really just don't know where to start, and I feel like the best place to start are with book boxes that are doing it for you already. So this book is about Jack. He is a regular guy who grew up on this magical island, and then he was not very much welcomed by this island. So when he grew up, he was like, I'm gonna go to the mainland and learn music and become an artist and yada 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 yada. So he goes off to the mainland, and then one day the heiress of the island is like summoning him back, and she's like, bring your harp and come back to the island, we need you immediately. Turns out the girls on his island are going missing, and he needs to play music to soothe the spirits so that they can give the girls back. And he pretty much is like, yeah, I'm coming, I'll be right there, see you soon. So this is his story about him bringing the girls back to the city and just learning more about himself and his relationship with the magical island that he grew up on. And this book is very beautiful. I enjoyed it. It was a 4-star book for me. And I think it was very different from what I've read recently, which I think was refreshing, and I think that's why I got such a high rating for me. It was a solid 4.75, maybe a 4.5-ish book. I really enjoyed it. I plan on doing a book talk on it, so hopefully that comes out soon. I feel like I'm really drowning in my book talk edits. I've been trying to put up book talks from like January that I recorded, and I still have not gone around to editing, so we shall see. And then obviously exclusive edition Illumicrate, gorgeous spine, gorgeous everything, beautiful exclusive cover. And then the next book was also a book box books. It was Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Celine Tan, and I love this book. 4.75. 4.75. This book was so good. I gobbled it up in like a day and a half or something like that. And my edition, this exclusive, very loot edition, is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. Like the sprayed edges just make me want to like melt. And I really enjoyed this book. I can't wait for the sequel to this book. This is a retelling by the Mid-Autumn Legend. So this, I believe, was inspired by Chinese mythology, and it's by the retelling is the Mid-Autumn Legend. And this is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Celine Tan, and this is about literally the daughter of the Moon Goddess. She is pretty much in exile with her mother, but she doesn't even know she's in exile with her mom. Her mom is the Moon Goddess, and she was exiled to the moon when she was a human because she stole the Emperor's elixir that was gifted to her husband for saving the world, and she drank it and became immortal. And now she's in exile on the moon with her daughter that the kingdom doesn't actually know about, and her daughter didn't know she was in exile either. So one day her daughter's powers are like awakened, and it alerts the celestial kingdom that, hey, something's happening up on the moon. What's this moon goddess doing? Is she trying to escape? And the daughter has to flee for her life so that her mom doesn't get in trouble, and she pretty much ends up in the celestial kingdom. And goes in disguise as a servant girl, and then later becomes the companion of the prince, who is the son of the emperor, and they start to fall in love. And this is her story of rescuing her mom from the moon, becoming an amazing human being, and harvesting her magic. And it was such a gorgeous, delicious story. I ate this up. I am ready for the sequel. Once it comes out, I'm probably going to pre-order it. Tell me how this was one of my most intense anticipated releases of 2022, and I did it based off of the cover, and I knew it wasn't wrong. It was so good. The cover said it all. The original cover to this is also definitely beautiful. I look forward to the sequel, to say the least. I feel like this is going to become a 5-star series for me, which is the same way I feel about River Enchanted. The first book isn't 5 stars, but I feel like it's like the setting of the ground. It's preparing for the work that's going to be done in the second and third books. So I think it's going to become 5-star series for me. And this does have a love triangle, but the love triangle isn't like weird and done in like a bleh way. It's done in such a cool way that I actually really like the love triangle in this book, and the main character is so self-assured and knows who she is so deeply that she isn't annoying about her love story. She's more practical, which I really like. I think it's definitely more realistic in a way, especially for a fantasy world, so I enjoyed it. The next book I read was We Hunt the Flame, and I've been trying to read this book for so long. The hype across TikTok, BookTok, Instagram, Bookstagram, it's just high. The hype around this book is high, and it definitely kind of let me down. I think this is a 3-4-ish, kind of, blah blah blah. I have mixed feelings about this book because I liked it. It wasn't as captivating as I thought it was going to be, so I found that very difficult to get past. I enjoyed it, but I feel like I was supposed to enjoy it more than I enjoyed it. Does that make sense? So I definitely give this like a 4.5, but I expected more from the book, and I think partly I have this feeling, because even though I scored it so high, 4.5, that's a good book rating, the hype for it was so massive that I kind of just expected more, and I think that's what kind of let me down. But the story was very original. I feel like it definitely gave me Six of Crow vibes, but better in a way, because I feel like I clicked with these characters faster. I have a whole rant on why I don't really like Six of Crows. I do plan on rereading it. It was one of my worst books in 2021, but I'm just not there yet. But I feel like the story is still a found family story. It still has this coming of self story within it, and it's very adventurous and fun, and it kind of has like this mission based work around it, so it definitely gives me Six of Crow vibes. And I feel like if you like Six of Crows, I think you also like We Hunt the Flame a lot. I see very similar tropes, and I don't know, I think people would like it. I think if I were to weigh Six of Crow and this one together, I would definitely say this one goes higher than Six of Crow, because I could not deal with it. It was like, it was so boring to me. It was so boring, and it put me in such a huge book slump. And I'm gonna reread Six of Crow because I do like Crooked Kingdom, but like, Six of Crow really did something to me that I did not like. So I like We Hunt the Flame, but I still felt like I was supposed to get more. But what I did like the most about it was actually reading it through audiobook. The narration for this book was very good. Typically when you have 2 point of views, you don't have narrations for each point of view. And for this one we did, and I really enjoyed that. It made the reading process so captivating and immersive, as well as I liked being able to just do work and classwork while I was listening to this book. And I like the main character. I like all the characters, honestly. I just feel like my mind just isn't with them. Like, I like them all. They're like distant acquaintances, but they're not like true friends in my heart yet. I feel like I'm gonna read We Free the Stars, and they might click in me deeper, the same way Crooked Kingdom I really loved and Six of Crows I didn't really love. I think the similar thing is going to happen to me with We Hunt the Flame, but I also think I should have read We Hunt the Flame not on ebook, but in physical writing. The prose is lovely. It's very fluffy. It has somewhat of a poetic writing style to it. Not deep, but like slight. And I know a lot of people did not like that. I liked it. I have no problem with flowery writing. Unless it's like literally so flowery I don't understand what it's talking about. That's the only time I won't really enjoy it. But I really like interesting prose, and I think this book definitely had it. And it was a 4.5. I enjoyed the book. And I am listening to We Free the Stars. That's another book that's carrying over to April. And I kind of want to do a book talk about We Hunt the Flame because I have so many thoughts on it, but I'm not sure if I'm that interested in writing down my thoughts on it just yet. We shall see. I might do a book talk on both We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars, but I'm not sure yet. And then last but not least, I was still going through some of my weird sick-ish feelings in March, so I had like these waves of dizziness again, and they're just so annoying. And I just felt really weak on some days, so on those days I just read Twilight. And it had me laughing, like, it was so hilarious. I read Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and I'm on Breaking Dawn right now. I might bring it into March but for those days though, I'm not just feeling that great. So Breaking Dawn is also a push over to April book for me. And these are some of my comfort reads from my childhood that I still enjoy reading to this day. So whenever I don't feel good, I just read them. So another book I started in March that I'm pushing into April is Attached, The New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love. So I don't really want to find or keep love. I'm happily married. I've been married for about 4 years now. I wanted to read this book for mostly like relationships within my family, and that's why I put it on my TBR, because I want to work on my relationships with my family and the relationships I have with my friends, because I am very not a social person. I don't call people unless I have something very logical and legitimate to say. I don't just call people to just like be like, hey, how are you doing? That's just not me. So I wanted to learn more about that, and I just love optimizing every part of my life. So that's why I got the book. And tell me how I did not realize this is only about romantic relationships. I started it. Highly interesting book. Very interesting. I'm going to continue reading it, but I didn't know it was just romantic relationships. I thought it was all relationships. My bad. But I like it. I think you should read it still because it's interesting how it talks about relationships, romantic ones. And it made me learn a lot about myself and how I view romantic relationships with other people. Well, not other people now that I'm married, but how I view romantic relationships in general. And it's so interesting to me because I really want to work on my relationships with like my family and friends, to like spend more time with them, and for it to occur to me to spend more time with them and to talk to them more, especially that I'm now in a completely different state than my friends and family are. But I just don't feel compelled to. And I need to find a book that talks about that, because that's what I really want to work on. Because what's more important than the people that you love in life? And then the next book that is following me into April is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. So I started this one on audiobook one night, and I started it actually with Kindle Unlimited audiobook. Did not know they had this. I have Kindle Unlimited, and now they have Kindle Unlimited audiobooks, and it pretty much reads the book to you, and I love it. So I was listening to it one night when I was super dizzy and I wasn't feeling well, and I was just listening to it, and I'm like, this is such a TLC movie. And just like Ugly Love, I love the backstory more than I like the main story. The main story is still better than the main story of Ugly Love, I'm not gonna lie. And the characters are a little bit less annoying, but I still don't care for them that deeply. But this does remind me of a TLC movie. Totally a TLC movie. You can watch on Lifetime or something from years ago. And I actually like it as background noise. So I put it on the same frequency that I put like Grey's Anatomy. I like Grey's Anatomy. I listen to it in the background when I'm working. It's just good white noise. I like having white noise that has like a storyline or something I can follow. But in general, I just enjoy white noise. I like white noise when I'm sleeping, when I'm working, when I'm in the car, when I'm working out, when I'm just doing chores. I just like background noise. I think this originated from me growing up with a large, noisy family. So, in my house, growing up, the news was always on in the background, another TV was always playing in another room, someone was always cooking or cleaning, and somebody was on the phone talking. This is just my childhood. I've always heard like background noise. So when I became an adult and I went to college, I was just like, why is it so quiet? It's kind of weird. The only time my house was quiet was when people were asleep at night. So coming to college and when I did not have roommates anymore, I was just like, why is it so quiet? It was so eerie to me. And I think that's how I picked up having white noise for everything, because growing up, I always had white noise, period, unless it's sleeping. And when I sleep, I like it either dead quiet or like white noise playing in the background from Spotify or something. But I am not someone who does well with like dead silence for long periods of time. It will just start to bother me. I'll just be like, okay, I have to turn on the TV, I have to put on the radio, I have to do something. So I think reminders of him and these contemporary romance books I don't like reading, I'm going to start listening to them as white noise and see how I like it, because I felt the same way about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I loved it as white noise. One, it was hilarious as an audiobook. The audiobook is way better than reading it in real life because I feel like the characters really come alive through the audiobook. It was so funny. And instead of DNFing that series like I did, technically I did DNF that series, I will continue to Get a Life, Chloe Brown because, well, let me not say that. If I listen to an audiobook, maybe I will. But outside of that, I think I just like it as white noise. I think I just enjoy contemporary romance as white noise. Reading it feels like kind of a waste of time, honestly. And it doesn't have the fantasy romance element that I kind of just need to like cultivate in my heart. So, reminders of him, so far, it's like a 3.9. And the last book I have to talk about today that is also coming into April is Gallant. This is a very long wrap-up. Gallant by V.E Schwab. It recently just came out this month. And I'm reading it. So far I'm like halfway through it, and it's like a 3-star book, because not because the writing isn't good, because the writing is amazing, not because it's not a unique story, because the story is unique. I am just not into it. Is it captivating? Yes. Is it the type of captivation that I want in life? Not really. I am doing a book talk on Gallant because it's so anticipated, and I really want to get into V.E Schwab's writing, but I don't care for this book. And I'm trying to come to terms that I might not be a V.E Schwaber, and you know what? That's fun. Why does this curl keep falling out of my bun? Hopefully that fixes that. And I don't know. I'm on the gist of maybe DNFing this book, but we shall see. So overall, this month I have 5 books I'm carrying over to April. 7 books that I completely read, and 2 books that I DNF'd. I feel like I did so much in March. Like, I read all these books, I did all my work, I caught up on my work, and I just feel highly accomplished right now. I hope your guys' reading plans are going as lovely as mine is. April is going to be my month of audiobooks, potentially finishing Gallant, and hopefully finishing all these carryover books. And yeah, that's it. I'll be here on Friday. Happy reading, y'all. Be sure to check out my April TBR and all my other videos. Bye!